Now back at camp, Dreamer and Sweetman were sitting on one of the concrete lids dotted around the campsite. "Hey, Dreamer, can you hear that humming? It seems to be coming from underneath us," said Sweetman. "Not only can I hear it, I can feel the vibrations. What do you think it is?" said Dreamer. "I have no idea, but it might be worth exploring, don't you think?" "Well, I can see two problems with that. One, it's covered with this thick slab of concrete, and two, I'm not sure whether Graham might think it's too dangerous," said Dreamer. "Yes, I see your point. Perhaps we should just forget about it. Why don't we have a game of football to pass the time and take our minds off it?" replied Sweetman. They played three-a-side football until it was tea time. Then darkness and exhaustion put an end to any other games. The next morning they were going to go to the village of St. Margaret's at Cliff. They would head up Lighthouse Road, a very rutted and bumpy track which led to a lot of gun posts. These things were massive gun positions with ammo stores beneath them. The morning was spent going down underground bunkers that had steel ladders taking you deep underground. Then it was off to the beach and lunch. While Graham was ordering the food from the pub on the beach, the boys noticed a partly blocked entrance in the cliff face by an old pillbox. There was just enough room to squeeze in. Once inside, the boys moved up a narrow tunnel until they came to a small platform which looked like a railway platform. But why would that be here inside the cliff? There was a large landslide which made it impossible to go any further. Dreamer said, "We'd better head back. I don't want to get into trouble with Graham again." The boys scrambled out of the hole, and Graham was still in the pub and hadn't even noticed the boys had slipped off. When Graham came out for drinks, the boys were sitting at one of the tables. "Well, I am surprised to see you human dynamos sitting down, not splashing in the sea or exploring," laughed Graham. The boys smiled at each other as Graham handed them their bottles of Coke. "We will have our lunch, then we will go up by the old Coast Guard station. There are some big bunkers just down from there." Now it was late afternoon. They had explored the big bunkers that were used to keep shells in for the guns. They also found a small gauge railway that used to bring the supplies up for the troops from Dover Harbour. This had been another exciting and tiring day. Now back at camp, Dreamer and Sweetman went back to where they had been sitting the day before and could hear the humming noise again. They called the other boys over. "Sparks, can you and Nipper hear that?" asked Sweetman. "Yes, we can," the boys said together. "Yes, I hear it as well," said Phoebe. All 5 boys were now kneeling down with their bums stuck up in the air, all intent on trying to figure out what this strange noise could be emanating from under the ground. When Graham stepped up and said, "What are you rascals up to now?" "There's something down there, Graham, listen," said Bebe. Graham knelt down and placed his ear to the slab of concrete, and sure enough, he could hear the humming. "I don't know what it is, but it's a bit late to investigate now. I tell you what, why don't we spend the day tomorrow exploring this site?" said Graham. "Sounds good to us," said Nipper. Graham went off to light the campfire and put water on for tea. Meanwhile, the boys were still listening to the curious noises coming up from under their feet. This would bug the boys for the rest of the evening, so to keep the boys amused, Graham recounted stories he had heard about the place. There was supposed to be an underground hospital here, and when the MOD workers were sealing up the entrances to the hospital at this end, they swore they could hear ghostly noises coming from underground. Needless to say, they did their work in quick time and left. They were all very shaken up. The other team, who were in charge of sealing the other end, down on St Margaret's at Cliff, also had the same experience. That's funny. We were in there yesterday. We didn't hear a thing. We did, however, find a small platform that looked like a miniature station. There had been a fall, as half of the structure was covered with rocks and massive lumps of concrete. We didn't stay in there long enough to explore properly, said Sweetman. Are you telling me there are ghosts down there? I'm not sure I want to go in, said Nipper.